Going to call the April 20th, 2021 regular council meeting to order at 7:28 p.m. Please stand. Join me in our invocation is going to be by Pastor McLeod of Woodlawn United Methodist, followed by Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, this evening we pray that you will be at least somewhat here. You will be with us through whatever chaos goes through. And you will give us love and grace to those who are around us, even with those where we vehemently disagree. And that we will work out our differences in love and for the benefit of everyone we serve. It is in your Son's name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call: McKeever. Here. Myers. Here. Me. Here. Truca. Here. Sherrick. Here. Vote. Alsept. Here. Before you are the minutes from the April 6, 2021 regular meeting. Does anybody have any questions on those? All in favor say aye. All opposed. Also, you have minutes from the April 8th, 2021 special meeting. Does anybody have any questions?
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor say aye. All opposed. Granting permission for visitors to speak. Is there anybody that wants to address council? Please go to the podium, state your name and address. And
Robert Taylor, 411 Plymouth Street. I guess is the topic open?
yes.
All right, I want to continue the conversation on the anti-discriminatory legislation that's coming out of the State House. Hopefully it comes out of the State House. And I want to talk about it in terms of local legislation. Now, you're going to hear arguments from people that you don't have the authority. You're going to hear arguments from the radical left that's private business and government has no place in it. Well, I'm telling you right now, for the last year, what we've dealt with in this country is fascism, and it's the joining of private business and government, and that has come from the radical left. So just the mere option of walking it in the other direction is threatening to their agenda, but I beg you, for the concern of your citizens and our businesses and our individual freedoms and our natural rights, you have got to pass local legislation protecting people who don't want to take a vaccine. If you do not, then you are not doing the job that government is intended. Your intention is to protect our individual rights, our freedoms, our natural rights. And there's other legislation that other cities and states are passing, and the state of Ohio there's a bill going into committee to make the state a Second Amendment sanctuary state. We've been down this road before, and if by the voters' choice I'm put in one of those chairs, we can all expect that legislation to come up next year. That's why I'm running on individual freedoms and doing what's best for the people of Bucyrus. And if we're not going to protect individual rights, then we aren't doing what's best for people anywhere. And that's really all I got to say on that one. Thank you.
Is it House Bill 2?
Yes, that's the House bill that's in committee.
Do any other visitors want to address council?
Justin Centers, 823 East Warren Street. I just want to let everybody know that I'm running for City Council Ward 1. Justin Centers, Centers, SCENTERS,
What did you say your address was?
823 East Warren Street. Justin.
SCENTERS?
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you. Good luck.
Don't let this scare you up here. Anybody else? Last call for granting permission for visitors to speak.
I'm Bill Stoker. I reside at 205 North Spring Street. I just want to say that you just lost a very good man tonight, about the best city council clerk that I've seen in here. I hope that you do all you can to try to convince that man to come back. Get this settled. Have no more of this confusion. And decide that you are the council, he is the council clerk, the person who sits in that chair is the council clerk, you are the council. In my opinion, that means that you are the people that he reports to, not just one person. Thank you.
Is there any other visitors who want to address council? We're gonna move on to communications and petitions, and I do not think there's any in here. Is there? There's none in there. Okay, we're gonna move on, standing committee reports. Bucyrus City Joint Regular Committees met in regular session Thursday, April 9th, 2021. It's called by regular meeting called to order. Why has it got two different times here? I'm just gonna let you start it, Mr. McKeever.
Bucyrus City Council Joint Regular Committee meeting was called to order Thursday, April 8th, 2021, from 6:46 p.m. to 8:27 p.m. Members present: myself, Kevin Myers, James Mee, Bruce Trucas, C. Aaron Sherrick, Doug Vogt, Lisa Alsep. Number one, Bucyrus City Joint Regular Committee meeting was called to order by myself at 6:46 p.m. Number two, public participation. I'm going to say his name incorrectly. Phil Chinowitz. Chikanowitz. I knew I wasn't going to say it right. 310 South Spring Street addressed the requirements for building and fence permits, which are an open project in the plating committee. He suggested that there should be a minimum clearance for such permits and that affected property owners should be notified when permits are requested. Number three, order of committee business. A, plating committee met from 6:47 to 6:52 p.m. Members present: Bruce Truca, Doug Vogt, James Mee, and myself, Chair. Number one, proposed zoning changes for 116 East Center, 416 and a half South Sandusky. The City Planning Commission has requested that the committee take up a proposed zoning reclassification of 116 East Center from urban neighborhood residential R3 to neighborhood business NB to accommodate commercial parking, and a proposed zoning reclassification of 416 and a half South Sandusky from neighborhood business NB to downtown business to accommodate outdoor dining in the right-of-way. Vogt made a motion to schedule a public hearing on both requests for 6 p.m. on May 25th in council chambers. Truca seconded the motion, which passed by voice vote. I recess plating at 6:52 p.m.
Any questions for plating? Moving on to Public Lands and Buildings, Ms. Sherrick.
Public Lands and Buildings Committee, motion 6:52 to 7:02 p.m. Members present were Mark McKeever, Bruce Truca, Doug Foat, and myself, Chair. Disposition of 114 East Lucas. The law director, Rob Ratliff, explained that the resolution will be needed to put the city-owned property out to bid if...
Microphone.
Okay. Number one was disposition of 114 East Lucas. Law Director Rob Ratliff explained that a resolution would be needed to put the city-owned property out to bid if that's what the committee wishes. He added that an appraisal would be requested to set a minimum bid. McKeever made a motion to request legislation to put the property out to bid for a minimum of $1,000, with the stipulation that the city can refuse any and all bids. Truca seconded the motion, which passed by voice vote. Vote abstained, sorry. Number two, office space used in City Hall on April 6th. The council president closed the clerk's office, declaring that a criminal investigation had been opened in the office. The chair suggests that the council clerk's office should be reopened, allowing the council clerk to resume his duties. Given that she was informed that the office is not subject to any investigation and is not the subject of any investigation into any parties. She also suggested that the copier be purchased for the office. Vogt made a motion to reopen the office with a second by Truca. Motion passed by voice vote. Sherrick recessed Public Lands and Buildings at 7:02 p.m.
Does anybody have any questions for Public Lands and Buildings? Hearing none, moving on to Health and Safety, Mr. Myers.
Health and Safety met April 8th, 7:02 to 7:11 p.m. Members present, Bruce Truca, James Me, Mark McKeever, and myself, Chair. Number one, liquor license request. Dave Jones addressed a liquor license request for his new business, Arrogant Goat Brewing, at 125A East Rensselaer Street. He said the brewery would be very small with local distribution. It was noted that the police chief has no objections to granting the license, and Law Director Rob Ratliff noted that he does not either. McKeever made a motion to not request a hearing on the license request with a second by Truca. Motion passed by voice vote. The matter will go to the full council for a vote. Did you wish to do that now or at the end of this report?
It's just an informal vote, right? Yes. We'll wait to the end of the report.
All right. Number two, local version of House Bill 248. The chair noted that he has disseminated reading materials on the bill, the Vaccine Choice and Anti-Discrimination Act, to the members of the committee, but added that he did not want to discuss it until members have had a chance to review it. The matter was continued. Mark, you want to read number three?
Number three, Bratwurst Festival street closures. The committee received a letter from the Bratwurst Festival, Inc. to close several city streets for the festival from August 18th through August 21st, 2021. Added to the annual request this year is that the city's administrative assistant, in coordination with the Bucyrus Police Department, contact ODOT to reroute wide load permit holders during the closures. Truca made a motion to request emergency legislation to close the streets as detailed and have the city contact ODOT regarding the closures with a second by me. Motion passed by voice vote. The chair abstained from the vote to avoid appearance of conflict of interest.
And number four, I recessed Health and Safety at 7:11 p.m.
Okay, we need does anybody have any questions on that before I ask for that vote? Ms. Sherrick?
What was the issue, what was the issue we used to have around here about the number of liquor licenses and, because I remember that used to be a really big thing. Did they change the rules on it, or, because I can remember bar owners coming up here and complaining about people trying to get liquor license. I know they're all gone. But there was a rule behind it. Do you remember, Vicki? Okay, just making sure we're not stepping on any toes we're not supposed to step on. And did we get permission from the,
Controls area.
We don't control how many liquor
did
licenses
we get
there are.
permission from the building owner for this to go through?
All we are to do is if we want to request a hearing, if we have an objection, so that's what we're voting on.
Well, I didn't know if we'd ever heard from the person who owned the building. I mean, I can't see her going against it, but
That-
does she know that
that
this is
doesn't
going on
involve
in her
us.
building?
She knows.
Okay.
Any other questions? Gonna ask for a motion to not request hearing on liquor license request.
So moved.
That was Mr. Myers first and Bruce
Mr.
second.
Truca had the first.
Oh, Bruce first?
Mark and I fought over the second, take your pick.
Which one he wants a second?
Give it to him.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There will be no hearing on that liquor license request. And moving on, Finance Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Yes, Finance Committee met from 7:11 to 8:26 PM. Members present, Kevin Myers, Bruce Truca, James, me, and myself, Chair. Members, number one, Bratwurst Festival. After some discussion about resolution number 209, 2017, passed on March 7th, 2017, authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into agreement with the Bratwurst Festival to provide safety forces and cleaning services at no charge for the 2017 and 2018 festivals. Excuse me. Truca made a motion to request regular legislation making the authorization permanent, with the caveat that the festival be given 1 year advance notice in the event council wishes to terminate the agreement. Me seconded the motion, which passed by voice vote. Myers abstained from the vote to avoid appearance of conflict of interest. 2, fund creations. Auditor Joyce Schiffer noted that 3 new funds need to be created. A, 23 Materials and Supplies /7780 General Government /267 Coronavirus Relief Fund. B, 271 Local Fiscal Recovery Fund 2021. C, 23 Contractual Services /7620 Airport /277 Airport Coronavirus Response Grant Program. Schiffer noted that the latest coronavirus relief legislation approved by Congress will result in $1.6 million coming to the city this year, followed by another $1.6 million next year. All the monies will have to be spent by 2024. Myers made a motion to request emergency legislation creating the various funds, with a second by me. Motion passed by voice vote. 3, various appropriations. Schiffer explained that the following appropriations needed to be made. A, from unappropriated park and recreation land funds, $35,000 to 21 personal services /7310 parks and playgrounds /250 parks and recreation land for seasonal street /park workers. B, from unappropriated coronavirus relief funds, $4,762.59 to 24 Materials and Supplies /7780 General Government /267 Coronavirus Relief Fund for 2020 coronavirus relief funds released from purchase orders. C, from unappropriated airport coronavirus response grant program funds, $13,000 to 23 contractual services /7620 airport /277 airport coronavirus response grant program for grant funds. D, from unappropriated access television funds, $1,500 to 24 Materials and Supplies /7765 access television /295 access television for new equipment. E, from unappropriated solid waste funds, $7,500 to 24 materials and supplies /7515 solid waste /750 solid waste for sanitation truck repairs. Committee discussed leasing a copier for the council clerk's office and the cost and the organization of office equipment lease in City Hall. Myers made a motion to request emergency legislation, making various appropriations with a second by me. Motion passed by voice vote. 4, supervision over council clerk. The committee discussed drafting legislation specifying that the finance committee has direct oversight over the position of council clerk, with the finance chair responsible for signing of the council clerk's timesheet and other paperwork. The committee would also perform quarterly evaluations of the clerk's work performance. Truca made a motion to request emergency legislation doing all the above, with a second by Myers. Motion passed by voice vote. Number 5, formation of Ethics Committee. Myers made a motion to request legislation amending Bucyrus Codified Ordinance 111.13 to create an Ethics Committee of Bucyrus City Council. Councilperson C. Aaron Sherrick suggested that the members of the committee be the council representatives for the city's 4 wards. Myers amended his motion to state this as well, with the members of the committee, and that the members of the committee will elect the chair. Me seconded the motion, which passed by voice vote. 6, EMS Study Appropriation. The administration is in the process of drafting a plan for the city to provide its own EMS service for the city and any surrounding townships interested in taking part. On March 4th, Council President Kurt Fankhauser noted that he had contacted outside consultant William Kramer about updating his previously released study on city EMS service to encompass a countywide service, and that such an update would cost $3,700. It was also noted that an updated study could be utilized in the application for the staffing for adequate fire and emergency safer grant from FEMA. The city has since applied for that grant. Myers made a motion to direct Law Director's Office to pay Kramer $3,700 to update his study, with a second by Truca. No legislation is required. Motion passed by voice vote. 7, proposed parks levy. Mayor Jeff Reeser proposed a tax levy of 1/8% for funding the city parks, which he suggested would generate $350,000 annually and cost the average Bucyrus family less than $1 a week. Stucker 205 North Spring Street noted that other cities in the region to which Reeser compared Bucyrus, all of which have larger parks budgets, also have lower tax rates, as well as higher overall revenues. He also suggested that higher taxes could have a negative impact on the city's economy. The committee and other council members discussed the pros and cons of the tax levy for the parks, and opposition to hiring a park director with levy funds was voiced. The matter was continued. Meeting agendas. Committee and other council members stressed that council meeting agendas are to be set by the council president in consultation with members of council. Keep a recess, Finance Committee at 8:26 p.m.
Does anybody have any questions on that report? Ms. Sheriff?
Is it numbered appropriately? Because after you get to E on the second to last page, 2 out of 4, Then you've got something about the committee discussed, and Myers made a motion. Would those be separate from the stuff above it?
What page are you on?
2 of 4. It's the second to last page. Like,
So that should be A, B, C, D, E, F.
and then after E, there's no F. That next little section kind of sits there unmarked, not sure exactly.
The A through E is Joyce's information.
After
Things-
E. With the committee discussing a leasing.
Yeah, we did, that wasn't part of Joyce's presentation, the question I asked.
Right, so shouldn't that be numbered differently? Shouldn't there be a number
A through
there?
E is what Joyce
Maybe you should
supplied.
give it a number 4.
After E, shouldn't that be 4?
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be a 4.
Yeah.
We can amend
I'll buy
that.
that.
We can amend that.
So the numbering needs changed, is all I'm saying.
Any other questions on that? You already did the public participation part, so we don't have to read that. Traffic Commission. I have no idea, was there any traffic commission meetings?
I've not been made aware of that.
You're supposed to attend them, right?
Correct.
Okay. Need a motion to accept the committee reports collectively.
Motion.
Second. Okay.
Oh, Lisa beat you.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Report of city officers. We have, what's that? Oh, I can read it. Here's the mayor's report dated April 20th, 2021. John Kennedy was laid to rest recently. John was an important part of the Bucyrus
Community, it's missing a
for
word.
many, many years, and his efforts have been seen and felt throughout the community. John was well-respected member of Bucyrus, was so generous with his time and talents. We were able to honor John with a John Kennedy Day in Bucyrus, and it was a well-deserved honor. Our sympathy is extended to Joyce and the entire family. It has been a particularly difficult year for the Kennedy family, who now has seen the recent passing of all the Kennedy siblings, Mike, Pat, and now John. We extend our sympathy also to council member Kevin Myers, who lost uncles and a mother this year. Thanks for sharing the Kennedy family with us. May they rest in peace. We also extend our sympathy to Judges Sean and Shane Luthold on the passing of their mother. Donna, Mrs. Luthold, was another of those citizens who, by their very example, made a difference in the community. Donna had a heart for those in need, and she lived the gospel in her everyday life. Our sympathy is extended to the entire Luthold family. The Bicentennial Celebration kicks off on Saturday, May 1st, with festivities beginning at 11 a.m. at Washington Square in downtown Bucyrus. The much-anticipated Brat Drop will be held at 3 p.m. Fun events are planned for the entire family. Happy birthday, Bucyrus. We welcome Sydney, Ohio Mayor Mike Barhorst to City Hall representing the Ohio Municipal League. Mayor Barhorst is on a quest to visit mayors in all 88 county seats, and we were number 10 on the list. He had a cordial conversation about the challenges that rural communities faced during the pandemic, and we sent the mayor on his way with parting bicentennial gifts. Sydney's Bicentennial Celebration was scheduled for 2020 and reluctantly was canceled due to COVID-19. You may have seen that Bucyrus was awarded Tree City USA status for the 4th year. Congratulations to the community, especially to the board members and volunteers, as well as to council members for supporting this most valuable program for current and future residents. Our annual Arbor Day celebration will be held on April 30th, and details will be coming soon. The City of Bucyrus is offering free trees for your tree lawn through the generosity of the Cathcart family at Bucyrus Railcar Repair. Look for details in your next utility bill. This is part of an ongoing effort to improve the tree canopy of the city while increasing home values and aiding the environment. The Safety Service Director's report.
I would like to make a comment on the mayor's report.
Yes, Mr. Fogue?
I was lucky enough to get to work alongside John Kennedy for the last 7 years as a Kiwanian, and I just wanted to take the time to say how grateful I am for the time that I got to spend with Mr. Kennedy, the wisdom that he had bestowed upon myself, and more than anything, the example that he set forth that other men of his generation did as well, but giving until the final day. These men were active in the community, gentlemen like Mr. Kennedy, active in aiding in the efforts of progressing our community forward up until the very day of his end. John was still an avid Kiwanian up until the very end, so I just wanted to take the time to say how thankful I am for what he's done for our community. So.
Does anybody else have anything they want to add to the mayor's report? Now move on then to the Safety Service Director's Report dated April 20th, 2021. Number 1, airport. We had a pre-contractor meeting for the airport project with 5 contractors in attendance. The bid opening will be Thursday, April 29th at 2 p.m. in council chambers. 2, Borma. We will have a special meeting in August to get the new insurance rates for next year. 3, CDBG. We have 2 items, the sidewalks to Walmart and to the health department. 4, Arcadis. The next step will be to plan a meeting with the US EPA to discuss our future plans. 5, river cleanup. The cleanup is done, but the pile still needs leveled off at the wastewater treatment plant. 6, cleanup week. The annual cleanup week is May 3rd through May 7th. You will be allowed a total of 12 bags of garbage. Number 7, compost site. The compost site will be open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mowing. Number 8, mowing. Please remember to keep your grass clippings out of the street. Number 9, Memorial Day. All non-emergency offices will be closed Monday, May 31st. If your garbage runs on Monday, it will be picked up on Tuesday, June 1st. Please have your garbage out by 7 a.m. The Bicentennial is working with the military organizations to make this year's Memorial Day Parade extra special. Please visit the Bicentennial website, Bucyrus2021.com for more details. Number 10, 98 water line. This project is moving along well. They are east of the bypass. Number 11, State Route 98 letters. We are still awaiting our responses from residents from State Route 98 and Sulphur Springs about interest in water. Their responses are due by April 30th. Out of the 42 responses, we have 16 yes, 25 no, and 1 maybe. We have also had some phone calls of interest. Number 12. EMS, we will meet with the fire department and the commissioners about the plan for EMS. The fire chief and the health and safety chair will be consulting with Mr. Kramer. Number 13, summer help. We are currently accepting applications for lifeguards and seasonal help for the parks. You may find an application on the city website or in the mayor's office. Does anybody have any comments on the
I do.
answers?
I do. Since the fire chief and the health and safety chair are going to be consulting with Mr. Kramer, are we also going to be privy to this information?
Only if the health and safety chair shares it with you.
Which I'm happy to do.
Well, I just meant as a whole council, before they go making offers to different commissioners for different townships. I'd kind of like to know what Mr. Kramer says. I assumed we would all be able to ask him questions.
I really think somebody from council needs to be in a meeting with the commissioners if the administration is going to meet with the commissioners, but I see it's not listed on there.
I got a question.
Yes, Bruce?
And maybe Jenny Vermillion can answer the question. When the commissioners have a meeting, are those meetings closed to the public or? Pardon?
They're open. The only
They're
time that
open.
we would ever have a
So,
closed
I
meeting is
mean,
if we went into executive
Even
session.
if we're not invited, we could actually show up and actually go to the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be rude.
Wait a minute, Lisa.
Okay.
Aaron's been waiting for
Are
a
you still
while.
on the same
Yeah.
point? Let her finish her point
Okay.
then, yeah.
It just says, "We will meet with the fire department and the commissioners." I'm assuming that's administration about the plan for EMS. The fire chief and health and safety chair will be consulting with Mr. Kramer. See, this seems like two separate meetings to me. That's just how I'm reading it. I may be interpreting it incorrectly, but
I think the same people should be in both of those.
I just think before we start making offers to people, we better make sure that we're doing what's right. That's all I'm saying. I
And
won't
everyone's on
vote,
the same
I won't
page.
vote for something that's crazy.
Now, isn't every commissioner meeting, Jenny, tape recorded?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you will be able to get a copy if you don't.
Are they
attend.
scheduled?
Are
at
they
certain
scheduled
times,
meetings
or-
so I can just start going?
No, no, the only time they have meetings is if they have an appointment for a meeting. They have meeting days, when I was commissioner, meeting days were Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can schedule an appointment anytime.
They're during the
that
day
time.
while people work too.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm starting to remember. Yeah, that's convenient for those of us that have jobs or unable to attend such
Do-
things.
Jenny, do the commissioners advertise these meetings with the media, or
With a
or is it
They're,
just
they
hour
are
like?
sent
notice.
notices, yes. Whether they publish it or not is up to them, but they are notified per state law.
Okay. The Safety Service Director's report, the 98 water line, I was approached by Mark at Bucyrus Tire, who had previously came to council a couple years ago. He is generously letting the contractor store their equipment there on his property with no compensation. He's also, in the times he's addressed council, he's wanted a city water tap. Well, he's wanted city water. He asked me if we could, since he's done all this and waited so long and paid taxes for how many years and never had water, he wanted to know if he could have a tap on that water line and not be charged a tap fee.
If I may. I was approached by Mark too, just recently as well. So I will collaborate that. That is true. He's been to council a number of times. He's asked us for water. He's asked us for sewer. He come to us and said, hey, you know, you guys are building a water treatment plant out there. Is there a way I could hook onto that sewer line that's coming to Bucyrus? It was a forced sewer line. It wasn't very big, but somehow it fell through the cracks. So, I mean, I just had mentioned it to Mr. Wagner here recently, and he said, well, the possibility still exists that he could probably connect to the sewer line as long as he has one of those grinder pumps and you can connect. But, you know, he's been to us a number of times. He's approached council to come out here and talk to us on the podium, you know, saying that, hey, you know, I'm out here, but I'm not getting service for, you know, but I'm paying for everything.
Doesn't it say in our ordinance that we'll provide that?
Yes,
And what is it, he just has to pay a tap fee?
yes.
So why doesn't he send us a bill equal to what the tap fee is for storing that equipment there?
Well, I know that they had a private conversation. I mean, when we had that meeting and when he went to the podium, I know that he was gonna have a meeting with the mayor, but what transpired, I have no idea.
Say, didn't we all talk about this before when the bodies that should be present for this were here? And, yeah, wasn't this mentioned then as well? So hopefully they are acting on this. I mean, how do we get them to? Because I thought he was being charged something like some sort of sewage fee that he wasn't even getting as
The
well.
stormwater runoff, he's charged.
So he's been being charged for something that when he can't even get any services in the first place this entire time.
He claims that, and I agree with him, that his water never touches any city drains. It just rolls off his property
And
down
into that
the
ravine on
embankment
the
there
other
and goes
side.
straight to the Sandusky River.
Yeah, it rolls down through Carpenter, river bottom and goes into the river, but he gets charged storm sewer.
Well, it's a couple $1,000s tap fee. Personally, you know, he's been in business in town for how many years and not had any services. And he's
I'm
letting
still-
the contractors there.
I'm still looking at how much has he been charged overall for this stormwater that he hasn't actually been getting any help from. Shouldn't they be taking that to just pay for his tap? And
That'll have to be up to the administration now.
Okay,
It's
well, I
nice that we
just
can
told him
ask
I'd
them
bring it
about
up.
it.
That's all I was saying.
so can I ask my question finally now that
Yes, Ms. Sherrick.
So it says the cleanup week, the annual cleanup week's May 3rd to May 7th, though you're allowed 12 bags. We'd asked about getting dumpsters. There's nothing listed here about the dumpsters we
I asked
asked
that
about.
question, and it wasn't in a meeting, but it was after a meeting on another time. I was asked, where are we gonna pay for that from? So, I think the illusion there was that we
Okay,
didn't
and
have
what
any
about
money.
the usual, the fact that they would take furniture? That's not listed here either.
Fit it in a great big bag.
Since we've had a couple meetings here without the administration present, I want to bring up, we can, per Ohio Revised Code, specifically request, I just read it here, it's in the OML book. The mayor, directors of the mayor, the directors of several officers provided for in statutory planned cities, which is what Bucyrus is, shall attend the meetings of the legislative authority of the city when specifically requested by such legislative authority, and answer at such time questions put to any of them by any member of such legislative authority relative to the affairs of the city under their respective management and control. The mayor shall make such recommendations in writing as seem wise to him, her, and this is ORC section 733.06. So
I have a question. Can we just request Jeff? Not,
it appears we
Wagner?
can request whoever we want.
this is pretty much Jeff Wagner stuff.
Yeah, but we've had questions for the other one too.
Well, it's whatever you guys want to request, which one you want to be here. That's up to you guys.
Well, because they have been requested to be here multiple times.
Well, I think we should maybe take a vote
Well,
to
just
request
make a
them and then,
formal, just maybe a nice letter or an email.
you want me to send it?
Yes, politely. Sorry.
Good job.
You want them both at the next regular meeting?
That would be nice. Jeff Wagner's enough for me. I mean,
At least
he answers, because if I ask Jeff Reese for some of these questions, he's gonna need to ask Jeff Wagner, so I would just ask Jeff Wagner.
Yes, Ms. Sherrick?
I think anybody who has a report coming in that we may have questions about should be here to be able to answer all
I've never
questions
seen the
on their
treasurer.
reports.
Nor have we ever seen the police chief or fire chief.
Right,
on
I
regular-
think that they should be here for their reports as well.
That's once a year.
And we did request them about the ambulance stuff, and they didn't come.
I am really disheartened about the whole Kramer report thing getting, maybe it's just a misunderstanding.
Did you reach out to Mr. Kramer?
I have, and I'm just gonna say in my report, I've filled out the purchase order, and I'm waiting on that back, and I told Mr. Kramer that I was doing that, so.
Okay. Well, we don't have to decide tonight which one you want. You just send me, if you guys message me and say, hey, I want
I'll
to
tell you
see
right on
so-and-so
tape.
at the next
I
meeting.
wanna
I'll
see Jeff Wagner at the next meeting.
send him a letter.
And I think maybe each
Should
and
we
every
send
one of
something
us
to-
can make that request to them a day or two before each meeting if we feel we want to.
But we can create legislation that just says that they should be here. Shouldn't we send that to finance?
You mean force them at every meeting?
Yep.
You wanna pay $200 to come up with a paper to force them to be at every meeting.
Start with the
I'm
email.
sorry.
We'll try the
Send that
email
out.
route first.
An invitation first, give it a shot.
But I can't remember last time that Mr. Wagner was at one of our regular
Well,
council.
It was
and he
before
really
you-
does answer all my calls and all my questions when I call him.
It was
That's-
before you put that notice out that said that we didn't have to walk through there anymore. That was the last meeting they were at. Once you put that notice out, they haven't been to a meeting since. So I think the proof's in the pudding. As
They've
they
been
say.
waiting. They don't feel safe.
I found out that the whole reason that that metal detector was originally purchased was based off of hearsay.
Yeah.
I did find that out. Mr. Ratliff confirmed that with me, so about $3,000 waste.
Well, if you look,
So,
every other group has it at the.
Any other questions for the
main
service
door.
directors?
So I can just save my questions,
Yep.
because I will, I didn't make a note.
Mr. Ratliff, do you have a report?
No real report, Mr. President, but we are getting ready to announce our movies in the park nights. We've announced the dates already. Got the movies getting ready to come out. We've got one spot left. So if you or your organization or your business would like to sponsor that last thing, shoot us an email. Get in touch with us.
I'll shoot you an email tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
That's movie.
Auditor, well, does anybody have any questions for the law director? Yes, please.
I do. So if you're contacting Mr. Kramer, yeah, that was really nice when we had him up on the TV screen and he comes through audio through the telephone. Is there something that we could have like that again?
Yes.
I mean, part of that $3,000, would he be willing to talk to us and at least tell us what his ideas and conclusions are? And that at least brings us, all of us up.
Yes, he's indicated his willingness to appear by video whenever we want. I believe John may have actually even spoke to him about getting it arranged so that we have better volume, so we don't have to do the phone and the thing. I know John had worked on that, so I think that's a sound bar or something there, right?
Yeah, we can feed it right into the lines.
Yeah, we did touch base on that. to get that.
But Kurt made it, everybody's present or they're not present. I mean, we'd have to change that little.
He's not a member of the body. He's not a member of the legislative body. We can call somebody in for a special purpose.
Well, if you want to do an executive session, you can invite him into an executive session. But I mean, if you just want him to appear at a regular meeting.
I was just looking at the fact that we
Yeah.
all have to be here present.
Yeah,
That there's no longer a go-to meeting or anything like that presently.
We can have those on a case-by-case basis, and it's totally separate from what is required of each of you to be here. I mean, we could call in somebody from California, and if we wanted to, they're not a member of the quorum here, is what is required to be physically present.
we have it set up, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have it set up that a person can appear live at just like this meeting tonight. They can appear live on TV there. Sound is there, and then it gets picked up on this camera here. So it would be just like there was a person sitting there was a podium over there.
Just so you know, these cameras do not have microphones. So we would have to set up a
Microphone there, right.
Or feed it live through the live stream,
Right.
but we can take care of it.
So it's doable for your regular meetings.
Hey, these microphones, I've been getting a lot of good feedback from the public saying that they can really hear the meetings now.
When they're on.
Vicky was one of those people. Okay, so no more questions for the law director. I'm gonna move on to the auditor's report. Actually, I don't think she actually has a report here. We just have this,
Statement of cash.
statement of cash from March 31st. We need to accept and file. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
So what's the first one with the MPD?
The what?
This one? This says March 31st, but this says January.
The one we just
Talking about the
accepted
treasurer's
files
report?
January through March for the auditor.
Because he said dated March 31st.
Well, then the next one would be the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report is in here for March 21 for your review. No police chief, no fire chief. Need a motion to accept all the city officers' reports.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Visitors' input regarding reports of standing special committees and of city officers. Does anybody want to address?
Vicki DeShawn, 1108 Hillcrest Drive. The Finance Committee minutes for Thursday, April the 8th. Number 2, where it talks about fund creations. Letter A has 23 for materials and supplies. The correct number is 24.
Okay. Under section 4.
Finance Committee, Thursday, April 8th minutes, go to page 1 of 4. Number 2, that says fund creations.
Yep.
Letter A, and it has 23 for materials and supplies.
Yep.
That should be 24. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President, looks like the legislation is correct, though, so.
Okay. Anybody else want visitors' input regarding the standing or special committees?
I have a question.
Yes.
Going through the legislation we're going over tonight, and I had taken issue with the fund creations that, well, actually the $1.6 million that we're gonna get this year, and the $1.6 million we're gonna get next year coronavirus relief money. I specifically asked, so is this another open checkbook? Because I felt that we didn't give any of that money to our community. And I'm not gonna be riding along with legislation that's not gonna take into consideration the community. I mean, in somehow, some way, because the
Well, what did
questions
Joyce
I
ask you
had,
when you asked if it was an open checkbook?
she said it was, she kind of giggled. I mean, the questions I had were, I felt like legitimate, and she felt like they didn't know enough yet about how the money was gonna be given to us, because it's under a recovery.
She said the legislation's changed multiple times.
Yes.
We didn't have a final answer.
So I'm not comfortable saying, until they're comfortable telling me how the money's coming in and where the money's gonna go, I'm not comfortable just rubber stamping stuff.
So for, you want
Yeah, James.
to put that in finance and maybe we can make a resolution to,
Well, I was under the impression that this was just creating the line item.
That's all it's doing. It's creating a line item. It's not appropriating the money or anything.
It
She has to have it in there in order to receive the money. If you
Okay.
don't have it in there, from my understanding.
But I asked her, could she take it from that line and put it into other funds, and she said yes.
Not without our approval.
I watched $879,000 or $859,000 go, and I don't know how many times I asked
Well, you voted on all
for
that.
money. Well,
it wasn't bulletproof glass.
no, I sure didn't. I'm gonna get angry. I really didn't vote for bulletproof glass and Kevlar drywall, and I wanted to see money given to the community.
It's, well, go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
Robert Taylor, 411 Plymouth Street. I don't know all the details of the grants that we're talking about, but I'll just talk on principle. What'd you spend, $77,000 on keyless entry in these doors? Waste of money. I don't care who, the money comes from taxpayers. The money is coming from the future of our children. And anybody who's participating in voting for taking this money, you are digging the hole of socialism that our kids are going to live with. And I get it. The argument's been made. Well, if we don't take it, someone's going to. That doesn't sit well with me. When do you start standing up on some principle of belief? This is a waste of tax dollars. I don't care if it's coming from the federal government, the state government, it's uncalled for. And if this CARES Act if it is, as Lisa it has interpreted it as maybe an open checkbook, is it just going to cover shortcomings for the budget that the administration mishandles? That's absurd. That is absolutely absurd. And if you vote for this just because, well, if we don't do it, someone else is going to, you're not standing on any kind of moral principle and financial principle. This is money that my kids' are going to have to pay for. And along with everything else, every other path that this country's traveling down, we're just compiling the problem, and somehow we're justifying it because if we don't do it, someone else is going to.
I'd like to respond. I feel like it was intended to cover, help people that were affected by COVID.
I agree with
Which is why I intentionally kept saying, we need to put the money back into our community, our food banks, places that support people that are getting booted out of their home, or, you know, something for the community, something for the kids, if we need to help the schools, or whatever we need to do to make maybe things safer for the kids. I don't have a problem with us accepting this money. I have a problem with how it's directed, that's all. And I did not intend, and if I asked if things could be taken from that and put into other funds, and she said yes. That's when I turned and I said, does that mean there's another open checkbook? Because I'm not going to be a part of it. So I just wanted it out there that if anyone watching or anyone sitting here sees me vote no on something that seems insane, that's why, that's my thinking.
Well, if it don't pass by waiving of a second and third reading, we could get more answers, and then at the next meeting, when it's up for second reading, we
just want more
can be better
answers.
prepared
Yes.
to know what you're voting on.
She wasn't prepared either. She said that there was a lot of unanswered questions for her. So in her defense, I'm not saying she had an open checkbook. I think she was waiting on answers too.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
if I could ask Ms. also, do you remember, did she tell us there was a specific deadline that it's needed? I know it's usually
There's always a deadline, but
do you remember, did she say?
I just know that it has to be spent by 2024.
Well,
That I knew.
my suggestion,
That's
because
stuck in
we've
my
got
head.
these questions on it, I don't necessarily like the president's idea of reading it once and then changing if we need to. I'd say let's table this
Yes.
until we get that question answered, and if we have to have an emergency meeting to get it taken care of, if it needs to be, so be it. But that way we're not voting on something that, it's like
I'll vote no.
vote now and read it later
Yeah,
type
I won't
thing.
do that.
Okay,
I
so-
suggest we table it.
So that is the 11/20/21.
Can I make a comment on 11/20/21?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to say my name, you all know who I am. On 11/20/21, that has to do with the creation. Now, if you'll notice, there are two funds being created. We have the Local Fiscal Recovery Fund 2021, and that's the fund where this 1.6 whatever figure is going to go into. Then we have the second fund, which is the Airport Coronavirus Response Grant Program. Along with that fund, then there's also the line item and the category. Now, when Auditor Schiffer spoke with you at your April 8th committee meeting, and it stated in your April 8th finance minutes, she requested, or she noted, that 3 new funds need to be created. However, ordinance 11-2021 only has created 2 out of the 3 funds that she asked for.
Well, okay, so there's local fiscal recovery.
Right.
And then there's airport, and then under that it says contractual services. Wouldn't that be the 3?
No, your
That's 2 funds.
Your 277, the Airport Coronavirus Response Grant Program, that's the name of the fund. Your airport, underneath it, is the name of the category. The contractual services underneath
Okay.
airport is your line item.
Okay.
So you've got 2 fund creations, not 3, as she asked for, and as the committee
Well, that
approved.
right there says reason to table it then.
Well, and here's in defense of the law director's office, who prepared the legislation, the paper that was given to them, which I note says corrected fund creation for April 20th, it only has 2 funds on it. It does not include the Coronavirus Relief Fund, which that was the very first fund that Joyce spoke about
Sounds like
and
this
said
whole
we
thing
have
needs to go back
to
to committee.
recreate it because she didn't include it.
Sounds like this whole thing needs to go back to committee, because
267 coronavirus relief.
Exactly.
Fund was the first, then the fiscal recovery fund was the second.
Right.
And then the contractual services at the airport coronavirus grant.
And because this particular piece does not include the 3rd fund creation, that being the Coronavirus Relief Fund, you can't pass ordinance 12-2021 because that piece, you're appropriating money into this relief fund, which you haven't even created. And you have to create the fund first before you can appropriate money into it. So ordinance 12-2021.
Mr. President.
yes, Mr. Myers.
If I may, I'd like to move that we send these back to Finance Committee for Thursday, and if I could request that you reach out to the auditor, and if there is a reason that we would have to get this done this week, could
There's a
you then
specific
schedule
date.
a special council
okay.
meeting on Friday or on Thursday after the committee meetings to address this if so needed?
Okay,
Joyce
so
be
we're
here?
kind of,
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
we, you want to have a vote to table these both?
No, I'm moving to send these back to Finance Committee.
Okay, vote to send them both back to the Thursday finance
And
meeting.
if there's a need, if there's an immediate need, if you could find that out tomorrow, if you could then schedule a special council meeting at the conclusion of our joint regular committee meetings on Thursday, if that need exists for these.
I second
Okay, all in favor of,
Thank you, Vicki.
Aye.
all opposed?
Yep, thank you, Vicki.
I'll get a hold of the auditor tomorrow. Okay. Is there anybody else has visitors input? Yes, Mr. Stucker.
Bill Stuckert, 205 North Spring Street. I'm a little bit confused about the issue of the dumpsters for the spring cleanup week. When this was presented back at the previous council meeting, it's my understanding that the city has dumpsters already that they could place around places for people to put their cleanup trash in. And it really shouldn't cost anything additional. People will be putting their trash in there rather than out at the street, and it'll be less labor work for our trash pickup people to contend with the extra trash.
Okay.
So, as you know, I made that suggestion, and then I was told in the next day or two that there was no funds. I'm going to ask if it's right with you, and I'm going to tell you this is what I'd like to do. Let me follow up with the administration tomorrow on that.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else, visitors input? Mr. still on that part of the agenda, we kinda got sidetracked. Okay, moving on, does council need a recess? No recess. Consideration of proposed legislation for the second time is, 2/13/2021. Yeah. I don't think we were gonna pass it though tonight, were we? It's just regular?
Just a reading for the second. The second reading of Resolution 2/13/2021, resolution authorizing and directing the Service Safety Director on behalf of the City of Bucyrus, Ohio, to ban vehicular traffic, including bicycles, except authorized emergency personnel on Saturday, June 12th, 2021, from 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time to 12 a.m. midnight Eastern Daylight Time on East Warren Street for the food court, from 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to 12 a.m. midnight Eastern Daylight Time along Sandusky Avenue from Mary Street to Oakwood Avenue, as well as the 100 blocks of Mansfield Street and Washington Square, the 100 block of East and West Rensselaer Street, the 100 block of West Warren Street, and the 100 blocks of East and West Charles Streets respectively, allowing access by local traffic and safety service personnel to the alleys located between Walnut Street and Sandusky Avenue, as well as the alleys between Poplar Street and Sandusky Avenue, in order that said streets may be utilized temporarily as a Cruising with the Cops Custom and Classic Car Show parade route for an expected 600 custom and classic automobiles, more or less, and to provide as well sufficient parking facilities for the public display of said automobiles. Said special event to be sponsored by the Fraternal Order of Police, Bucyrus Lodge Number 68, must provide for and erect all signs needed to reroute state highways according to the directions of the Service Safety Director and the Chief of Police. The Service Safety Director and Chief of Police are hereby authorized to make the necessary arrangements for the rerouting of affected traffic on both federal and state highways passing through subject areas to facilitate the orderly movement of traffic during a aforesaid time period through the city of Bucyrus.
Need a motion to accept that as a second reading.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any member of the general public may present their input or comment on that legislation that's been read for the second time. Does anybody have any comment? No comment. Consideration of proposed legislation for the first time. The first two are not on there because we sent them back to finance, so starting at we're at 13. Yeah, starting at 13/2021.
13/2021 did not make it out of committee.
No.
So,
Okay, that one didn't make it out of committee. So 2/16/2021.
first reading of Resolution 2/16/2021, authorizing and directing the Bucyrus Public Service Safety Director, on behalf of the City of Bucyrus, Ohio, to advertise for bids for the sale of one parcel, 114 East Lucas Street, parcel number 08001725600, located in the City of Bucyrus, said parcel being deemed not presently or in the foreseeable future needed for any municipal purposes, and to enter into a purchase agreement with the highest and best bidder while reserving the right to reject any and all bids and declaring an emergency.
And then 2/17/2021.
Resolution 2/17/2021, authorizing and directing the Public Service Safety Director of the City of Bucyrus, Ohio, to ban all vehicular traffic, including bicycles and skateboards, except authorized emergency personnel for the 2021 Bucyrus Bratwurst Festival, according to the schedule set forth herein. Further authorizing and directing the Chief of Police to make necessary arrangements for the rerouting of traffic on federal, state, and local highways and roadways.
Okay, and then 2017.
That was 2/17/21.
Oh, that was 17, so 2018.
Resolution 2/18/2021, authorizing and directing the Service Safety Director in behalf of the City of Bucyrus, Ohio, to enter into a permanent agreement with the Bucyrus Bratwurst Festival Incorporated to provide necessary safety forces and cleaning services at no charge for the Bratwurst Festival, and to give the festival a 1-year advance notice of change to the agreement.
Question. Do all of these need to be redone since they got Todd Hill's name on them and he's no longer our council clerk?
I can just scratch it off.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, that can be amended.
Okay. Just trying to make sure that we have our ducks in a row.
Yeah. And only 2/16/2021 is the only emergency piece.
Yeah, I noticed that Bratwurst Festival Forgiveness is on here accidentally as emergency.
Mr. President, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why is it listed as an emergency?
Which one's emergency? 216.
The only one it should be is 216, but everything's listed as
Oh, that's
emergency on
public
this
lands and
agenda.
buildings. I was thinking it was the Bratwurst Festival.
Oh, yeah, we did request that one be.
Oh, that one was?
That one was too.
217 was-
Because they wanted to get that wide load permit done ASAP, so nobody screws it up like it may have been before.
Because of the time frame.
But the fee forgiveness was not? Okay. Okay, need,
You're saying 2/17/2021 is prepared as an emergency? Because I'm looking at it. Am I misunderstanding?
that's what they just advised me.
It was requested as one
2/17?
because of the wide load permits that have to,
Okay, you realize it's not prepared as an emergency.
It does have the emergency clause in section 9.
Oh, I see it in there.
But it doesn't say "and declaring an emergency" in the caption, nor does it say
Oh.
a majority of all members. It says 2/3. 2/3 is when you do not pass it as an emergency. So if you're going to pass it as an emergency, you need to add "and declaring an emergency" in the caption, and you need to change where it says "be it resolved," where it says 2/3, that needs to say a majority. And plus, you need to change your numbering because your numbering's not numerically correct.
Why is the numbering?
Page 2 of 3, you've got 2 section 3s. So the second section 3 should
Is
be
it section
4,
4?
then you go 4, 5, 6 on 217.
I see this all, Vicki. I'm glad you pointed this out.
I make a motion to amend this as an emergency and change the caption as needed.
second.
And correct the numbering.
Yeah.
Yes.
correct section.
He said with the amended.
Okay, all in favor of what Mr. McKeever just said?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep, all opposed? Okay, I need a motion to accept those three pieces as first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, to refer back to originating committee, public participation, any member of general public may present their input or comments on the legislation that's been read for the first time. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, don't hear any more public participation. Oh, committee report on pending legislation, public lands, Ms. Sherritt. For 2/16/2021.
The committee is favorable to resolution 2/16/2021.
Health and safety, Mr. Myers.
Health and safety is favorable to resolution 217-2021 as amended for the Bratwurst Festival street closures.
And finance, Mr. McKeever.
Finance is favorable to resolution 218-2021, Bratwurst Festival fee forgiveness.
Any motion to accept those reports?
So moved.
Second.
I'm gonna go with Lisa on that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Further consideration of pending legislation. Yeah, we're not gonna do that one. We're going to go to 2/16 for the second and third reading of proposed resolution 216-2021. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules, waive the reading of the caption and text, and declare it an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. McKeever,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Me,
Yes.
Mr. Truca,
Yes.
Ms. Sherrick,
Yes.
Mr. Foat,
Abstain.
abstain, Ms.
Sure does.
Alsep,
Yes.
do I hear a motion to adopt proposed resolution 216-2021?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McKeever,
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Me,
Yes.
Mr. Truca,
Yes.
Ms. Sherrick,
Yes.
Mr. Foat,
I abstain.
Ms. Alsep,
Yes.
ordinance, or resolution 216-2021 is duly adopted. And then for the second and third reading of proposed resolution 217-2021, do I hear a motion to suspend the rules, waive the reading of the caption and text, and declare it an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McKeever,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Abstain.
Mr. Me,
Yes.
Mr. Truca,
Yes.
Ms. Sherrick,
Yes.
Mr. Foat,
Yes.
Ms. Alsep.
Did you say as amended?
I did not.
As
I'll
amended.
start over.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
No, good catch.
For second and third reading of proposed resolution 217-2021 as amended, do I hear a motion to
So
suspend the
moved.
rules with reading of caption and text and declare it an emergency?
Second.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. McKeever, Mr. Myers,
Abstain.
Mr. Me,
Yes.
Mr. Truca,
Yes.
Ms. Sherrick,
Yes.
Mr. Foat,
Yes.
Ms. Alsep.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to adopt proposed resolution 217-2021 as amended?
So moved. Please.
Second.
Mr. McKeever,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Abstain.
Mr. Me,
Yes.
Mr. Truca,
Yes.
Ms. Sherrick,
Yes.
Mr. Foat,
Yes.
Ms. Alsep.
Yes.
Resolution number 217-2021 is duly adopted. Bratwurst Festival fee forgiveness, we're not doing as emergency.
Right.
Okay. Old and unfinished business, city coronavirus emergency declaration.
Question.
Yes, Ms. Sherrick.
213 was the first thing with the car show. We needed a third reading on that one.
Did the second reading tonight.
Oh, we did the second tonight?
Next meeting will be a third reading. Okay, the coronavirus emergency declaration. The last time that was brought up, why the city was still under a coronavirus emergency declaration, the administration told us that, well, we'll leave it on there because it might enable us to get some money. Well, it seems kind of obvious to me that it's not going to be a requirement to get any of this federal funding to have an emergency declaration in effect, so if council wishes, they can
Just leave it.
make a motion to end the emergency declaration.
Mr. President, does that go through a committee?
It wasn't.
Or should it, or could it?
The way our ordinance reads on the emergency declaration, full council,
I was just gonna suggest,
Can amend it
let's
or-
refer it to a committee for third, committee request their presence and have a discussion, and
what committee would you think that would go in?
Possible.
Health and safety?
that or public lands. Either. Both.
You wanna refer to both then?
I'll let you, I'll defer to you for that decision, but I think either or both.
I'm going to entertain a motion to refer the emergency declaration to the Health and Safety and the Public Lands and Buildings Committee. So you're the first on that?
Yeah.
Second.
And Mr. McKeever is the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's going in health and safety and public lands and buildings.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
What did the emergency declaration do?
It,
I'm serious.
I think it was just, it really didn't do anything. I mean, it changed some hours here for like lunch.
Okay.
Originally, it closed the building down.
Okay.
It kept getting
Exactly.
amended.
It was
And
from the
that, they
initial-
were able to utilize
Okay.
the 4-day work week, utilizing federal
Yes.
funds to pay for part of that too. I
Shared
think
work
you need
program.
recognition.
Now I'm back on track.
From what
just
I
didn't know
can
what it was.
observe, the only thing that's still in effect is the hours for lunch of certain offices are, like, you can't go into the zoning office during lunch now or something. Which I think a lot of people use their lunch break to go to the zoning office.
Probably. Okay. It made me realize when it was enacted, I didn't know.
Galleon never put one
Well,
on. They never
no.
had emergency declarations.
I'm not gonna.
Not too-
Okay, you talk about it on Thursday. New miscellaneous business, Tuesday, May 25th, public hearing on 2 zoning change requests in the council chambers at 6 PM. Does anybody else have any newer miscellaneous business? Mr.
I
Meyer?
have two. My first one is I'd like to refer to health and safety and economic development, the creation of a designated outdoor recreation area.
Okay, health and safety.
And economic development, I do not need that on the agenda for this week, but probably in 2 weeks from Thursday.
Might be a good idea to reach out to Mr. Frank also.
Already done. That's why it's
Could you
there.
repeat
Is this the
that so I
outdoor,
can
the
hear
Dora?
it?
Is this the Dora?
Yeah,
Okay, so how you spell it? D-O-R-R-A?
DOR.
It's basically a
DORA.
designated outdoor refreshment area. So in other words, we can designate a certain sector of our city that will be a DORA, and you'll be allowed to purchase your drink. For instance, I'm gonna use examples here. You could buy a drink at Norman's, and you could walk down the street to the next establishment.
Or to the art park.
Or to the art park. And I'm using that as the example. They have a Dora in Tiffin right now that they've had for a while, so
I
it's,
just wondered, so it's just, I guess, is it just alcohol? Or
it's anything.
Could it be like, could it be like the coffee shop could have beverages outside?
You can
Okay.
already take your coffee.
Yeah, I would say, this is more for the people that have an alcohol.
I'm an
Okay,
outdoor
did
dining
somebody
hall
second
at
that?
shop, 30
Somebody
years
second
old.
that?
Does this pick and choose specific businesses that can sell the alcohol?
No,
You have to have a liquor license.
it's a designated area, so.
It just designates the area. If you would, if I could, just real quick, what it does essentially, you designate your boundaries, that essentially becomes an outdoor beer garden, for lack of a better way to word it.
And if we would have had the Dora, we wouldn't have had to do all that stuff with the fencing at Norton's.
Yeah.
Which, or not Norton's,
Norton's.
Norton's. Did somebody second that?
I'll second it.
Mr. Foat?
I would say I brought it up
I
before
just
and we haven't gotten
encouraged
anywhere with it.
Okay,
so.
all in favor of referring that to health and safety and economic development, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Got another one.
Oh, what's the other one?
I'm not real sure, I don't ask questions, because this is my first time being without a clerk, but for Rob or Bruce that have went through this before, how do we go about filling a position? Is that something that needs to go to a committee, is what I'm asking?
I looked that up, and the last time it was done, it was the council president and the finance committee, they interviewed anybody that had submitted an application. There was like 3 people on the finance committee. You can look back through the old
Do
minutes.
we need to refer it back to finance just so that it's there in case we need it? I don't know what the procedure is.
Probably should, and in the meantime, I should probably get a notice out that we are accepting applications for the position.
I was gonna say, we should definitely put something out immediately requesting applications.
Yeah. There is some applications in my email inbox left over from the last time
How long ago was that?
it was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'd like to refer to that.
Yeah, I'd refer to
Okay,
request,
so referring council clerk,
and request
new hire
applications.
to finance. Did somebody second it?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I have a referral for public lands and buildings, it's been coming to my email for economic development, but, the city's power contracts, there's money to be made there. So I think it's about time we look into making the money if we can.
Public lands and buildings tower contracts.
Yes, sir. I'll second that. Yeah, sorry, John, I'll never remember, I'll be honest with you.
I got you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then, the only other thing I wanted to bring up, which I've already brought it to the attention of, Mr. Wagner, the Service Safety Director. But I am gonna reiterate, because I imagine residents have had this issue themselves, but, I believe if, utility office is open till 5 PM, the doors should be open until 5 PM. You should be able to walk in until 4:59 and 30 seconds if you want and pay your bill.
Are they closing like a minute early or something, or?
Well, I got walked in at 4:57 to pay a utility bill today and got told that they weren't gonna take my money, so.
Was that Mike?
That's a Wagner
No, it wasn't
issue.
Mike. I'm not gonna mention names or anything to that effect. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just saying that the utility office has hours until 5 PM. It should be open
Administration's,
until 5 PM. So, Mr.
it's
Wagner
their-
said that he would address the problem and take care of it with whoever runs that down there, but I have noted that issue and it has been brought to the administration's attention, so.
Is there anything else new in miscellaneous business?
So the local fiscal recovery fund, that's still in finance, correct?
The one that we didn't vote on tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Still
going
in
back. I'll
finance.
get hold of Joyce tomorrow, and see if there's a deadline.
All right.
If there is a deadline, and assume which
There is a deadline, I just can't remember how,
Yeah.
she said we had to have it soon, she just didn't give us the date.
We may end up having like a special council meeting after the
Thursday.
next committee meetings or something.
What I want to discuss is how the funds are coming out of it and what they're going for.
That's what I want to talk about.
Any other new or miscellaneous business? Excused council members are absent, nobody's absent. Regular committee meetings. With the council clerk not being here, I'm gonna ask if there's nothing pressing that we kinda hold off on putting a lot of stuff in, in for Thursday.
Go back to the old
Yeah.
way, if there's something there, then you have a meeting, if there's not, you wait.
Yeah.
Kinda like that.
Mr. President, suggestion, each of us committee chairs, let you know what we want on our agenda by noon tomorrow.
I think it was 11 is what Todd always did.
Yeah, so since it's a regular meeting, we actually don't have to put anything on the media release. I don't even think we have to have a media release.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do
Do
it.
it, always,
Okay.
CYA,
Avoid the conflict.
Transparency.
yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I'll try to,
I say everything that's been referred would automatically be there though.
plus everything that's already on in committee would be able to be brought up, but.
Is it finance that would touch on who needs to be here and how soon things need to be turned into the office to have it put in for a meeting?
Who's got the 2 keys to the office?
I don't know, I got a key to both the bathrooms.
I don't have a key to anything.
I got keys
The
all.
day I took them, I handed
They
them.
don't work.
Wagner's got the keys?
And you'll stand there.
And he then handed at least one to Todd.
So,
I imagine his is laying on his desk over there after he left.
I thought he left them in here.
are you guys still saying that public land and buildings is controlling the office at this point, or are you gonna turn the executive stuff back over to me?
It's the clerk's office.
It hasn't been voted
It's
on
whoever's
yet
doing
anyway.
it. If you have to be the clerk, then until we get a clerk, that would be you. Unless you don't want that part of the position, then whoever has to act as clerk needs to get their butt in there and get it done.
Well, I'm hoping Vicky would volunteer in the short term here until we get somebody.
Vicky is calling you some names under her breath.
She didn't think about it.
Should put that mask on.
Okay, need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Who firsted that?
McKeever.
We are
Yes.
adjourned at
Here, Miss Becky.
8:57.